Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second Gilmore Sisters Rant Podcast episode. Today, we're going to talk about money. That's a pretty heavy theme in the show, the haves and have-nots. And we're not going to be talking about the haves today. We're going to be talking about the have-nots. Sort of.
We're going to be talking about how the have-nots have not had. If that makes sense.
No, it doesn't, but it will.
La 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 la. Gilmore Sisters.
Gilmore Sisters is a Phoenix Sisters cosplay production and is hosted by the Cereal Box Network. Pokeballs by Crayle is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on CrayleVanest.com, that's CrayleVanest.com, and possibly coming to a con near you.
Basically, a lot of these podcasts are based on rants that Kelly and I have already had that we need to share with you, and we're just like, the show writers do not know how poor people actually live. It's just so obvious.
Like, I don't think they've ever been poor or talked to a poor. Yes, that's a word.
Or if they were ever poor, they thought that their circumstance was like so atypical or something. It has to have been. So
I am so confused at their version of poor. Like, Lorelai and Rory are poor, but they got to know Luke by going to his diner every day. What?
Yeah, that's the big one that everybody talks about is how did they have money to eat out or order in every meal of every day, more or less? Because there's an episode in season 5. It's when Lorelai is really scrimping to finish up the inn. No, it's season 4. Lorelai is really scrimping to finish up the inn. It's an episode right before the Incredible Sinking Lorelais, where they both have meltdowns. So shortly before that, Rory comes home and is freaked out that there are groceries in the fridge. And they don't have all their movie channels. And why is the magazine rack empty? We always subscribe to everything.
Like, no.
Okay. Lorelai starts asking things like, will you be horrified if we start clipping coupons again? And Rory's like, again? Like, Rory seems straight up weirded out by very basic money-saving tactics. Like, they're foreign to her. Not like, oh, I thought we'd gotten past this. Are we backsliding? Like, she's acting like these are brand new things to deal with, okay?
Lorelai was a teenage mom living in basically a work shed.
Right, like they were practically homeless. And Lorelai talks about when Rory was little all the time, how they couldn't afford this, they couldn't afford that. So why does Rory act like she's never seen a coupon?
The only thing I can headcanon there is that Lorelai really shielded Rory from that stuff. Maybe.
I mean, I just don't see how it's possible to shield your child from the fact that until they were 8 or 9, the timeline not making sense is a whole other episode. But I'm going to say 8 or 9 probably. Yeah. From the fact that they were basically one step above homeless. Like,
right. Yeah, they were like basically eating because of Mia's kindness and all that. And like, yeah, I don't get it. And then like they have money to order out all the time, but Lorelai can't afford Chilton. But we don't ever see her scaling back to try to afford Chilton or try to pay her parents back or anything. Just nope, we're gonna keep ordering Chinese food like every night.
Yeah, and like, oh gosh, I just completely lost my train of thought for a second. It'll come back to me though. It will. We think about this show a lot.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they had money to order in every night, but they didn't have enough money to get Rory 5 skirts for school so that she didn't have to wash her clothes midweek.
Yeah, like what?
It was one of the things in the early episodes was that Lorelai is super offended that Emily wants to buy all this stuff for Rory. And I see where Lorelai was coming from on don't just step in and do more than we asked you to do. You're taking over. But some of the things that Emily wanted to buy were very reasonable, like a blazer and some extra skirts.
Right. Like 5 skirts is not exorbitant. But also how much do the skirts cost? Probably as much as one Chinese food meal. I'm judging.
Like minus the difference of the cost of 2 sandwiches you made at home. Okay. Like I just that episode I'm talking about from when Lorelai is having all those money problems trying to get the inn finished. Like, everybody's like, is that a head of lettuce? And I get that she knows what a head of lettuce looks like. She's exaggerating, but I feel like she's exaggerating based on the fact that they have maybe never had fresh produce in the house.
So weird. And the magazine thing, like magazine subscriptions are expensive.
Right? Like if you're younger than us and listening to this, you don't understand, like, to subscribe to everything. There used to be so many magazines where they'd send like issue 1 to try to get you hooked, and then it would be like $7 a month. So if you've got 10 magazines coming to your house, that's $70 a month on just magazines. You could read those for free while you wait to check out at Dosey's, okay? Like, you're subscribing to everything.
Yeah, like why? We never see them reading magazines. What the hell?
Like, hardly ever. And I just,
So weird.
Where are all our movie channels? What movie channels were like?
They were always renting movies. What?
Yeah, they were renting movies all the time.
They had slow internet.
But they still had internet.
Yeah.
I didn't have internet in some of my households when this show was airing. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess working in the TV industry in LA, it is very believable that they've never met poor people.
Or that they think their experiences with scrimping were probably just atypical. So then they made up a different view of what being poor is for quote unquote normal people.
Yeah, it's so wild. I don't understand.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And on the flip side, I said this before we started recording, but the way Emily spends money is like a poor person's view of rich people. Like most rich people are frugal, and that's why they stay rich. They don't spend ridiculous amounts of money like that. They just don't. Like, they won't think as much before they splurge, but they don't spend stupid amounts of money on stupid things.
Yeah, I've worked in sales before, and one of the approaches that they tell you that's going to be different between your clients who have a lot of money and your clients who don't is that rich people don't impulse buy. Like, they know they have the money, but that's also why they know they can afford to shop around until they find exactly what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, whereas Emily seems to impulse buy all the time, Richard seems to impulse buy all the time. Like, that's very odd. But then for Richard and Emily, it seems like, again, around season 4, after Richard starts his own company, they finally start talking about things like Richard putting his pension up for collateral to start a business. Yep. Their money is not actually just an endless faucet that you can turn on. And whenever it's a big plot point, they'll bring stuff like that up, like pension and stock options and stuff. But for the day-to-day spending, it's like the behavior does not match up to the narrative they're trying to put in there. That's like, oh, well, they're rich, but they don't have like tons of liquidity. They're not the Huntsbergers, right? Because the Huntsbergers for a while could just flip their money off and on like a faucet. Like,
I feel like Gilmore Girls is just a fantasy where money doesn't actually matter. And nothing functions the way things do in the real world.
I mean, even Luke, like, Luke lives very frugally, but the fact that he can just like, no questions asked, offer to do things like pay $15,000 to fix Lorelai's termite problem, or loan her $30,000 in one check. Like, if Luke was really living so frugally that he had enough money, he buys the whole building that he was renting the space out of or whatever. That one, okay, it kind of made sense because he talks about how he went down to a bank and talked all this through. He just didn't think it through until he was already talking about it with the bank, right?
Right.
But even if he were living so frugally that he had stores of money like that from owning the diner, he wouldn't be able to just write a check the next day, because if you have massive stores of money like that, it's not liquid. You can't just spend it all on a whim.
I'm pretty sure Luke has like a secret tie to the mafia.
He must, to have the kind of money he has. And like,
no, wait. Luke is a vampire.
Oh yeah, we talked about this once.
That's a whole other episode. That would make his timeline make sense.
That was part of the timeline episode and how it didn't make sense.
The timeline episode that we haven't had yet.
I mean, we've had all of the episodes before in a way. We've talked about this.
Spoiler for you all.
Spoiler for you all. You have to keep supporting and listening to the show to get to the Luke is a vampire rant. But yeah, the way none of Luke's money makes sense. Like him talking about how he can, how did Jess buy a car? I can barely afford a car. How can you barely afford a car? Like 5 episodes from now, you're going to drop $100,000 on a commercial building that has multiple storefronts and apartments in it.
He can barely afford a car because he's Lorelai's sugar daddy. That's why, because he keeps throwing money at her. That went to a gross place. I'm not even sorry.
Right. No. And then he had a whole second apartment with Nicole, and it's like, did Nicole also have did she not give up her old apartment either? Were they paying for a whole nother New England townhome somewhere between the two of them?
That was so bizarre. Did Nicole just live there full time?
I don't know. They're so unclear about everything to do with that. And I get that that's kind of one of the plot points, because we mostly see stuff through Lorelai and Rory's perspectives. And Lorelai's whole big thing about the apartment is it's weird that she doesn't know that he moved, but not really.
Yeah, I think Nicole might have lived there full time. So maybe Luke was even paying for that apartment.
Right. If she had her own place, she wouldn't have taken her paramours to her shared with Luke only love nest. She would have taken him back to her place. Okay. But still, I can't imagine Luke letting one of his girlfriends pay for the whole apartment. So he's probably paying for half that apartment the whole time.
Yep. With all his mafia money, or money he got from being a vampire and just amassing wealth. But forgetting he has wealth, because he can't remember that he has wealth in the episode where Jess buys a car. Or he's just pretending. He's just playing dumb. And like, oh, I don't have money.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's his persona to throw people off. No, that makes no sense whatsoever. But you know what? With Gilmore Girls, a lot of things make no sense. You just go along for the ride.
They just talk so fast that they hope you won't notice it.
That's why they talk so fast.
It's so you don't notice the plot holes, not because they were trying to mimic real life speaking patterns more.
Mystery solved. This has been a very productive episode.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
To recap, the writers have never met any poor people. They've never met any rich people. Luke is a vampire. And everyone talks so fast to hide the plot holes.
And Rory has amnesia. That's why she doesn't remember going straight from being almost homeless to middle class.
That too. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground in 15 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, we're like the Gilmore Girls. We talk fast
to cover up our plot holes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what do you all think? Have you all met any poor people?
Have you ever met any rich people?
Do they behave like on Gilmore Girls?
Have you met any vampires? That's a story we really want to hear. Like,
Please.
Don't just comment, message us so we can have you on the show if you've met a vampire in real life, okay?
For real. Yep. And live to tell the tale. Or, unlived.
Or unlived,
Are you a vampire? Then we really want to talk to you, but from far away.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I just remembered the whole thing about Dream Fresh laundry detergent, though, where one of the things Rory's weirded out that I forgot to mention was Lorelai buying generic laundry detergent.
Oh my gosh. Like,
so they bought everything brand name her whole childhood?
That's insanity, okay? That's insanity. Who buys name brand stuff when you have money issues?
Who buys name brand stuff when you don't have money issues unless you've, like, developed an attachment to that brand? Like,
it is the same stuff, you're just paying for the name.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. There's no reason. Like, and Lorelai was all about, like, distancing herself from her rich upbringing and her snootiness, and then she's buying name brand detergent? What?
Like, you think that would be one of those things, like, she talks about how a Pop-Tart is, like, the rejection of the being served on a silver platter lifestyle she grew up with, and how she can imagine her mother being horrified by Pop-Tarts, and that's why she likes Pop-Tarts so much. In that episode, after she and Luke break up and her parents don't freak out about it. So you'd think buying generic crap would almost be like an act of rebellion for her, like... But no, she's just buying name brand everything, apparently.
Because she likes throwing away money that she doesn't have.
Which is acting like her mother. You know what? Maybe that's part of it, is like you get blind to the ways that you act like your own parent.
That's fair.
Maybe that's the brand name thing, where she's like blind to the fact that she's picked up some of Emily's social, like, shopping habits from being in that awkward social class where you have non-liquid money like a rich person, but spend it all on impulse like a poor person.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. We can headcanon that, I guess. It almost fits.
I mean, it fits as much as any of the timelines do, so hey.
Maybe everyone on the show is a vampire.
I mean, everyone on the show, except for a few people, are neurodivergent. So stay tuned for that episode in the future also.
Oh my gosh. That is why Sam from Supernatural went undercover as Dean.
Because they're all vampires. Yep. Headcanon accepted.
Uh-huh. Don't ask me why they can walk in the sunlight. But you know what? There's some vampire lore where they can walk in the sunlight for some reasons. Well, you know what? We're going to make that another episode.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be our crack episode.
Just the Stars Hollow vampire episode.
Vampire and Supernatural crossover episode.
Yeah.
If you all want to hear that, do all the things. Hit the like button, share it.
Yeah, smash the like button. And hey, while you're at it, we mentioned that we're presented by the Cereal Box Network. You can learn more about them at cerealboxnetwork.com. You can support the Gilmore Sisters podcast and all the other shows on our network. We've got comic shows, we've got cartoon shows, we've got everything, wrestling, we cover it all. Go to buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod, especially if you liked the episode. And hey, if you didn't like the episode, you think we suck, 1, tell us why. We're always interested in improving. And 2, give generously so that we can get better.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was our fast talking, get a lot done in 19 minutes and 5 seconds so far. Gilmore Sisters Rant Podcast. We hope you all have a lovely evening. And that's all from us, the Phoenix Sisters. You can find us at linktree.com/Phoenix Sis Cosplay. Phoenix SIS Cosplay.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.